Let's talk Texas Hold'em. Now in Texas Hold'em, each hand begins with the dealer button on a particular player. For the sake of this demonstration, I've got 4 players at the table and the dealer button is on me. Now what happens? The player to the left of the dealer button posts what's known as the small blind. For the sake of this demonstration, we'll call it 1 chip. The player to the left of the small blind then posts a big blind, typically twice as much as a small blind. So there's the 2 chips. Now each player receives 2 hole cards. After you receive your 2 hole cards, the action begins with the player to the left of the big blind kicking things off. They'll take a look at their hand, decide whether or not they want to play, and they can either call the 2 chips, raise a minimum of at least 2 more chips, up to whatever they want if you're playing no limit hold'em, or just throw their cards away and spend nothing. I take a look at my cards. I've got a 9 and a 7. Let's say I threw it away. Then let's say this player over here in the small blind wanted to play. They call for 1 more chip, and the big blind then has the option to raise. They don't have to just say, go ahead. Taking a look at the hand here, a queen and a 9, this player would probably just check or elect not to bet, and we would see what's known as the flop. Now these 2 players will be playing heads up. We've brought in the pot. 1 card is dealt face down, that's the burn card, and then you get the flop. 3 cards face up. And these 2 players are going to attempt to make the best 5 card that they can using their whole cards and any combination of the 5 cards up on the board. So you could use 1 card from your hand and 4 cards from the board, 2 cards from your hand and 3 cards from the board, or, in very rare occasions, no cards from your hand and all 5 cards that are on the board, which is known as playing the board. Taking a look at these players' hands, you'll notice that the 4-5 that player number 1 has over here hasn't connected at all with this flop, whereas the Queen 9 has made an open-ended straight. 4 cards to a straight, and we talked about the rankings earlier, so 9, 10, Jack, Queen means they can either hit an 8 or a king to make a straight. Now we're not talking about the strategy here, so let's move forward. Once the flop is dealt, the first player to act will be the player closest to the button. They'll then decide whether they want to check or bet, and once they've done that, each subsequent player decides whether or not they'd like to fold, call, or raise. After the round of betting is completed, the flop is followed by the turn. 1 more round of betting follows, and finally, you have the river. At the end, you try to make the best 5 card that you can using your whole cards and any combination of the board, and the player with the best hand wins. Easy enough.